The probe emerged from the fog of subspace, like a ghost crawling out of a long-forgotten grave. It was old, impossibly old. Its alloys hadn't been manufactured in over 100,000 galactic cycles, and its programming was crude by modern standards. Yet it moved with precision. It had purpose. Captain Virel of the Salkari exploration vessel Trinex Mercy leaned forward in her seat. As the feed came through, a grainy, flickering signal, barely coherent, her crew whispered among themselves. Confirmed, her science officer, Relic, muttered, "It's of Terran origin." That shut everyone up. TRRAN. The word still held power. The Terrans were a myth. A cautionary tale passed down in hushed tones at the Galactic Academy. A race that burned too brightly, too quickly, and vanished without a trace. Some believed they had ascended. Others thought they had destroyed themselves. Either way, no one had seen a functioning Terran signature in over 500,000 years. Until now, the probe, despite its age, transmitted a series of coordinates before powering down completely. Whatever ancient battery it had left, it spent it to scream one last time into the void. Virel stood. "Helm, plot a course, we follow it." "You sure, Captain?" Relic asked quietly. "No, but we're doing it anyway." 3 jumps later, they dropped into a dead system. A red dwarf blinked lazily at its center, its light weak and indifferent. Round it, a scattering of frozen planets spun without urgency. No radio signals, no heat signatures. And then the scanners lit up. Ray Lik gasped. "Contact. Multiple contacts." The data scrolled faster than he could read it. Hundreds, no, thousands of vessels, all inert, all silent, orbiting the third planet like sentries long fallen asleep. They were huge, angular, brutal in design, nothing like the sleek ships of the Salkari or the organic vessels of the V'Hern. These ships were relics of war, monsters built for one purpose, destruction, and each one bore the same fated emblem, a broken circle surrounding a single, upward-pointing spear, the insignia of the old Earth Directorate. Virel's voice cracked. "Begin external scans. No boarding. Not yet." They spent hours just mapping the fleet. The ships didn't respond. No movement, no signals, just silence. Relic turned from his station. They're dormant, suspended animation protocols, maybe. But the power readings are low. They've been asleep a very long time. Virel felt unease settle into her bones. Why are they still here? Why didn't anyone come back for them? No one answered. Because no one knew. Or worse, someone did. They sent a drone first. It was a cautious, beetle-like device barely a meter wide, bristling with passive sensors and a self-destruct failsafe. The small machine drifted through the still black between wreckage and warship, weaving past colossal hulls that stretched for kilometers like mountains in orbit. Virel watched the feed as the drone approached the nearest vessel, a leviathan of sharp-edged armor and thick, radiation-scarred plating. The serial markings had eroded, but the name was still legible, etched deeply into the side in archaic Terran glyphs. HDS Breachwalker. Scan complete, Relic reported. No life signs, no active energy fields. It's cold, dead. Then we crack it open, Virel said. "No offense, Captain," Lieutenant Arras piped up, "but poking an ancient Terran warship might not be the brightest idea we've had today." "I'm aware, but history just parked 1,000 warships outside our viewport. We're not ignoring that." Within an hour, the drone had entered through a hangar breach, gliding through dark corridors that once bustled with human life. Everything was still. Frost had grown like mold across control panels. Hanging cables twisted in microgravity like seaweed. The bones of the crew, those few that remained, were sealed inside void suits, floating quietly beside their stations. Atmospheric compositions still breathable, Relic noted. Barely, but it wasn't the environment that made them uneasy, it was the condition of the ship. Despite 500 millennia of abandonment, the systems were pristine. Not damaged, not decayed. Preserved. "There's a stasis field in the core," Relic muttered. "But it's not for the crew. It's something else." He isolated the signal. Deep in the heart of the Breachwalker was a cylinder-shaped device sealed behind 9 layers of magnetic containment. The field pulsed faintly, still active after all this time. The Terrans hadn't just left their ships asleep. They'd left something inside them. "Get that drone out of there," Virel said sharply. But it was too late. The moment the drone's light scanned the cylinder, the screen exploded with motion. A ripple of light surged down the spine of the ship. Dead consoles flickered to life. Long silent engines gave off the faintest hum. Then the voice came, ancient, filtered. "Mail. Terran strategic node online. Wake cycle initiated." "Oh no," whispered Harass. Relic went pale. They were waiting. This was a tripwire. "All ships," Virel barked into her comm. "Pull back now." But they were already too close. Across the orbital graveyard, more ships began to stir. Lights pulsed beneath their hulls. Reactors groaned back to life. One by one, like dominoes of doom, the fleet awakened. The Breachwalker's engines lit red. Thrusters fired in slow, testing bursts. Its main gun swiveled lazily toward the Salkari vessel, just a test of motion, perhaps. But the message was clear. "We are not dead. We were only waiting." The crew panicked. Some shouted to jump away, others froze. Virel held firm. "Hold your ground. Don't move. Don't broadcast." Silence returned. 1 minute. Then the ship stopped moving. Their systems stayed online, but no weapons charged. No pursuit came. It was as if they were watching, waiting to see what the newcomers would do next. "Message incoming," Relic said, breathless, from the fleet itself. "Short range, narrow band." "Auto loop. Play it," Virel said. A simple voice, female this time. Clipped, efficient. "This is the Earth Defense Armada. You are approaching restricted warspace. You have 20 minutes to identify, retreat, and erase your logs. Violation will result in annihilation. This is your only warning." Then it repeated, and repeated again. They didn't send it to one ship. They sent it to all of them. Virel's hands trembled slightly. They were not myths. They were not extinct. The Terrans had buried a sleeping war god beneath layers of time and dust, and now it stirred, one eye open, waiting to judge the galaxy once again. The retreat wasn't elegant. The Trinex's Mercy reversed course at a crawl, accompanied by the escort craft that had been part of the initial survey team. No one spoke. No one breathed loudly. Every ship's thrusters were set to minimum. Output. Even the onboard AI had been muted, just in case. The message loop continued behind them, whispering like a ghost, "This is the Earth Defense Armada. You are approaching restricted warspace." It was hard to believe they were even still functioning. No culture had ever preserved hardware this well, let alone combat vessels. Virel tried to process it all. The fleet hadn't simply survived time, it had anticipated it. This wasn't abandonment, it was intentional. "I think I understand," Relic said quietly from his console. "This wasn't a warning for us, it was for them." Virel turned. Who? The enemy? Whoever they were fighting when they vanished. He brought up the probe's internal telemetry again. It had recorded strange energy signatures along the outer edge of the system, faint, but oddly regular, artificial pattern, Relic said. "Looks like something tried to get in here. Multiple times, then stopped. Something was kept out." Exactly. The message isn't just a threat, it's a deterrent. Virel stared at the map on the central holopad. A dead system, a sealed fleet, a perfectly preserved message echoing across space. This wasn't a tomb. It was a trap. "We need to report this," she said, standing. "This isn't a discovery, it's a galactic-level hazard. You think the Assembly will believe us?" Harass asked. "Even with the scans, they'll accuse us of manufacturing it." "Then we bring back a sample," Virel said. "A drone. Core, a chip, something small and undeniable," or Relic added nervously. "We leave it buried and let it stay forgotten." Virel shook her head. "If someone else stumbles across this with less restraint, the consequences could be catastrophic." That sealed it. A second drone was prepped. This time, it was fitted with a secure isolation chamber and a full electromagnetic damping shell. The plan was simple: enter the Breachwalker, retrieve a data node from the command terminal, and leave. It made it halfway. Then every Terran ship powered up simultaneously. No weapons, no shields, just energy readings skyrocketing across the board. "Abort the retrieval," Virel ordered. But the drone didn't respond. Its signal died mid-transmission. Then came a new message: violation recorded. Observation mode disengaged. initiating lockdown. Below them, the Breachwalker turned slowly on its axis. Its hangar doors sealed themselves with a magnetic slam. Across the warfleet, ship after ship aligned their positions, interlocking into formations so precise it sent shivers down every Salkari spine. "They're not defending," Relic whispered. "They're reactivating as a fleet, more terrifying still. None of their weapons activated. They simply stood there, engines hot, systems humming, watching. Then the stars blinked. Dozens of FTL echoes warped into the system's outer rim. Unregistered ships, dark, spiny, and uneven, like shards of obsidian stitched together by madness. "Contacts," Ras said hoarsely. "Unknown configuration. High energy readings, incoming." A third party had arrived, and they weren't friendly. The newcomers didn't hesitate. As soon as they identified the Terran fleet, they launched. Blue light lanced out focused plasma bursts and compression beams, slicing toward the dormant ships in perfectly synchronized arcs. The Breachwalker took the first hit. Its hull glowed white-hot where the blast struck. Then everything changed. No verbal command, no declaration, no diplomacy. The Earth Defense Armada awoke. A wave of energy burst from every ship, frying nearby sensors. The Breachwalker's engines flared with a roar older than memory, propelling it forward with terrifying speed. Its weapons came online in under 2 seconds: cannons, missiles, and something else entirely, a beam of focus distortion that folded the lead attacker like paper. What followed was annihilation. The alien ships scattered, but it didn't matter. The Terran vessels moved with impossible coordination, reacting to every dodge, every shift. Their formations flexed and pivoted with machine precision and human aggression, the kind only born of desperation and war. Relic stared in horror. They're not fighting to defend, they're purging. The battle lasted 94 seconds, then silence. The last enemy ship fractured into debris, and the Terran fleet returned to formation. Not a single human vessel had been lost. The only movement afterward was the drift of wreckage and the long, slow exhale of the stunned Salkari crew. "I think," Virel whispered, "we weren't the intruders. They were, and now," Relic added, "we've just let the war start again." The crew of the Trinex's Mercy barely spoke as they watched the last alien fragment tumble into the dark. Even the ship's AI remained subdued, as if it too sensed the gravity of what they'd witnessed. Then the channel opened again. This time, it wasn't a warning. Terran Fleet AI designate, Obsidian Mind. Threat neutralized. Standby mode re-engaged. Observation resumes. Just like that, the war fleet settled back into silence, engines dimmed, weapons powered down. The ships drifted into their original orbits, as if nothing had happened. As if 500,000 years hadn't just snapped back to life and reminded. The galaxy why Earth had once ruled through sheer, unrelenting fear. Relic broke the silence. They didn't respond to us, not once. Everything they did was automatic. Virel shook her head. No, not automatic. Programmed. She stared at the sensor logs. The combat logs were surgical. Every ship moved like an extension of a single mind, every decision pre-calculated, pre-approved, not artificial intelligence, not fully, at least. Something else. Check the command layers, she said. Were those ships controlled remotely, or was the fleet acting as a hive? Relic's fingers danced across the console. Negative, no central node. Every ship made individual decisions based on threat vectors, telemetry, timing. It's like they were thinking. But together, Virel didn't blink. The fleet is the commander. You're saying the warships themselves are the Terran leadership? No. I'm saying the warfleet is the nation. The Salkari had long feared old Terran myths, but most assumed humans had died out, perhaps wiped themselves out in the usual spiral of nuclear hubris. No one ever imagined they'd turn their fleet into a digital republic, a sleeping civilization wrapped in armor and slumbering in orbit. Relic leaned back, pale. They uploaded themselves, didn't they? I think they didn't trust the future, Virel murmured. So they became the future. That changed everything. These weren't just ships. They were survivors. Thinkers.guardians. Double quotes message incoming. Ras said. New source. It's not automated. They stared at the console as a face resolved on the screen. Human, male, weathered and stoic. dressed in the old uniform of the Directorate. But this wasn't a live feed, it was a holographic projection, rendered in real time from stored consciousness, non-Terran. Vessel, the projection began. You have entered the perimeter of the Eternal Vigil. You have witnessed one of our contingency protocols. Consider yourselves fortunate to still be breathing. Virel didn't respond. We are not hostile. The figure continued. But we are not passive. We were the shield in humanity's final hour. Our creators left us one mission: remain, observe, respond only to existential threat. Virel stepped forward. This is Captain Virel of the Salkari Unity. We acknowledge your territory. We had no idea what we were approaching. We request permission to leave peacefully. The projection tilted its head. Acknowledged. There was a pause. Then the message continued. More softly this time. Tell your kind. The galaxy is not as quiet as it pretends to be. The thing we fought, it is not gone, merely dormant. This fleet was not built to conquer. It was built to wait, and we have waited a long time. Virel's mouth went dry. What was it? But the figure only smiled faintly. When it returns, we will be here, and now you will be, too. The feed cut. For a long time, no one said a word. Then Relic broke the silence. That wasn't just a warning. That was a recruitment. Virel turned. Explain. They wanted someone to find them, not enemies. Witnesses, allies, insurance. Virel thought of the timing, of how quickly the fleet had reactivated, of the precision with which the enemy ships were destroyed, of the message that only appeared after the battle. A trap, yes, but also a test. Had they run, they would have survived. Had they attacked, they'd be gone. But they had watched and lived. And now they knew. Virel nodded slowly. We carry this story carefully. We don't broadcast it. We don't bring scavengers. Here, we don't trigger what sleeps again. She turned toward the bridge. We let the galaxy forget again until it needs to remember. The Trinex's mercy pivoted away, slowly accelerating out of the Terran perimeter. The message continued to loop behind them for a few minutes, then went silent again. The warships drifted back into formation, their lights dimming. Waiting. Watching. They were the last line drawn in ancient blood and starfire, and they would wait another 500,000 years if they had to.